Hello, everybody, and welcome to another wonderful Mentorship Monday. Mentorship magical. What was the other word? Metaphysical Monday with the M&Ms, Michelle and Maren. Hi, Maren. How you doing?
Hi, Michelle. And don't forget manifesting too.
Oh yeah, and manifesting, right? Because
Yes.
isn't it? I mean, it's always manifesting time. It really is. Every moment is manifesting time. But this energy that we're really in it still, that we just had with the
Yeah.
summer solstice and that strawberry
Yes.
moon, that was
Yes.
pretty powerful.
That was the best manifesting energy ever. So, I mean,
Mhm.
how do you get the summer solstice and then a full moon the next day? And
Yeah.
it was the lowest full moon of the year or something like that. So it's supposed to
Yes.
look really big, which it did.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you where you were, but it actually looked very pinky too. Like it's
It
named the
did have.
strawberry moon just because it's the summer full moon,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it really looked like a strawberry full moon. Like it was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yes, it did have a little tint to it. Yes, it did.
Yes. I
It did.
was not able to put my stuff out for the full moon. But so I put them out last night instead. So one night later. And I think, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I 2 nights off? I don't know. Oh man. I don't know. Anyways,
Well,
put them
really,
out.
the days after, like, and really
Still work.
right before too.
Yeah.
It's yes, yes.
Yes. So, but it stormed. So I even put my singing bowls outside.
Yeah,
because like you're supposed to charge them too.
yeah,
And so now they're filled with water. And I was like, oh my gosh, full moon rainwater. Like this, like what could be better than this?
yeah, yeah.
So,
Exactly. Yeah, really
so
powerful.
anyways, yes, it was so powerful and got to soak up the sun. And it was, of course, excessive heat warnings and all that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I didn't get too
Thank
much,
goodness for
but
some air. I hope everybody who is experiencing the heat wave on the eastern seaboard or in the eastern areas of the world, we hope you are all keeping cool in one way or another because it is hot. It is really hot. Yeah,
it's so bad. My kids had baseball camp and it was only 2.5 hours and they were
yeah,
just like crying afterwards. Every kid left there
yeah,
just crying and sweaty. Every parent was like,
yeah,
my kid didn't want to go back and it was horrible.
yeah,
So we had to like send them with like wet towels and fans
yeah,
and, you
yeah,
know, it was
yeah.
hot, hot,
It
hot.
is hot. Hopefully, we get a little bit of a reprieve from that. Speaking of hot, so I've got a hot topic. I've got a hot
Okay.
topic.
I'm ready to hear
Um,
it.
so when something like how I love to take situations that have happened throughout our week or throughout different sessions, and whenever a topic comes up or something comes forward, especially when it repeats itself. And this topic came up 3 times this last week in my sessions. And
Three.
what this topic
That's
is 3 times.
interesting.
Yeah. And that is just to tell you too, a little side note. The number 3, the triples of threes are off the charts for me in this last week. So I don't know about you or anybody else listening that is having their numbers, but the threes, like I'm talking my receipts are saying, like I went into the grocery store and it was 33336. It was the total of my grocery order. And I'm just like, you have got to be kidding me. Like seriously. And then right after our conversation about eating healthy and I was like so proud of myself because we've been really making sure that we're not doing a lot of takeout with the kids. And I went and bought the kids McDonald's yesterday. Actually, I should say Marcus had McDonald's because he was such a good boy yesterday after being sick and everything. But the order number, my waiting number was 336. Like right after I had gotten the
Oh
groceries and
my
everything. So I'm like,
gosh.
that is crazy. Anyway, so 3 times is when something is definitely needs to be spoken about. And what this is about the Ouija board. And I had 3 different people that had some really serious questions about the Ouija board. And one in particular was really concerned because they had an experience once before where they weren't certain who it was that was coming through the Ouija board. And it's
Hmm.
not that they had, say, like a really negative experience, but it was definitely a an unsettling, I guess, conversation or unsettling words that were said by this entity. Can you hear that?
I hear you. That's all I hear.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you can, because there's some major something stomping and banging upstairs. That's life, folks. So anyway, so a couple other people mentioned it as well, and they were really hesitant about using the Ouija board. And this one other lady, she was gifted a beautiful Ouija board, and she really wanted to use it, but she was so scared of using it. And she had a friend that used hers and just absolutely loved hers. And so my thoughts are, let's talk a little bit about the Ouija board and maybe talk a little bit about psychic protection and about
Yeah.
energy protection. Just kind of, I know we've talked about it before, but let's just kind of revamp it a little bit here, because I think it's really important that we knock out some of the fear that's around these things.
Right. Yeah. I would say I have a little fear with the Ouija board as well,
Yeah.
because when I was a kid, my cousins had a Ouija board. And so, of course, we decided to use it in the middle of the night in the pitch black, lights off in the house. I don't think their parents were home. I don't know. But of course, that's like what that's how they associate it. And that's like what you think you're supposed to do with it because that's what you see in the movies or whatever. And we all put our like fingers on it, and we felt like we got the spirit of like a boy that died in a fire or something like that. And I could not sleep the rest of the night. That like freaked me out. It freaked me out that there would be a boy that died in a fire. It freaked
Mm-hmm.
me out that there would be a boy in the house. Like, it freaked me out that we could talk to somebody. Like, the whole thing freaked me out. And I've never used one since. So, but now that I know what I know, I do feel like a Ouija board is not anything different than a pendulum or the rods or any other divination tool where you're asking someone from the other side something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just how you use it. I think you're right, like all that fear.
Mm-hmm.
And then the things that you need to do to protect yourself whenever you do communicate to the other side.
That's right.
Am I
That's
correct
right.
in that
Yeah.
assumption?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Because regardless of what we use, whether it's dowsing rods, whether it's pendulum, whether it's our own connection, we're connecting with spirit. We have to first of all remember we are spirit, right? So a portion of us that is focused in this physical body, we're never disconnected. It's perception. It's just that it's the mind that feels separate, as that separate experience. So we're always connecting to that higher part of ourselves and bringing in another spirit or an entity, uh, God, goddess, whoever you're connecting with. So the first of all, the piece is, if you are curious of using the Ouija board, what's your intention? So if somebody's listening to this and they're like, yeah, I'm just not into Ouija boards, it scares me, I've seen a lot of scary movies or I've heard some scary stories, but I really am drawn to using it. So what are you using it for? So, for example, are you using it to just because out of curiosity and you think you might connect with something that isn't, say, of a positive nature or is not a good energy? So think about when we watch movies or you go back to scary movies, a lot of that stuff it's like setting you up for something scary. So if you've got a group of people coming together and they're like, ooh, like, let's see what's here, what's out here, that's a little different situation than if you're sitting down and you're wanting to communicate with a loved one or you're wanting to communicate with any energy. What's the intention? Am I out of love? Okay, is this coming from a place of love? Number one thing, what is my current energy when I want to connect? Having a Ouija board in your home is not any different than having a cutting board in your home. It is, you've got a Ouija board, it is the intent. And now, let me preface, if you have something in your home that is a Ouija board and it's been used in other situations that maybe had something occur in it and has already had something that maybe negatively has come through, then in that circumstance, you might want to cleanse the board. Maybe you want to get a new one, because you have to remember your belief is your power. Belief is power in manifestation. Belief is power. Intention is power in what you use to connect. If you don't believe that that has ever been, like, say it's a used Ouija board, if that doesn't bother you, you don't believe in it, you just do your protection, you do your normal stuff, you're not going to have any problem. But if there is a belief, and remember, belief isn't always conscious, there's subconscious energy. So if in your subconscious you've been subjected to scary movies, stories, maybe religious beliefs or anything throughout your family, then you want to be more cautious or have things in place that you're using to protect yourself. Because the belief is like your handshake, right? Your intention is your handshake. It is like sealing the deal. Now, here's the thing. Don't ever use any dowsing, any tool at all if you are under the influence of alcohol or drugs. You want to have yourself, your vessel, be clear, because when you use alcohol or drugs, it does change your vibration. It does create, we call it Swiss cheese. It can create holes in your energy, so it's easier. And if you think about, if you're drinking alcohol, let's say you are on an eating plan and you may be like, okay, I'm going to have a few drinks. Well, then I kind of go off my eating plan and I have a couple things that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't have had the alcohol in me. So think about that with your energy. You're a little looser, you're a little more open to things coming in, that when you're in a state of mind that is more balanced, your body's in a balanced state, those things would not affect you, right? So kind of keep it in that area. So, yeah, I want to say that using a Ouija board, when I said like it's just like a cutting board, no difference, you can make a Ouija board or a talking board out of paper. You can use anything as a planchette. You can draw letters or anything out on paper and start to use that. Like, it is just a way of communicating.
Sorry to get technical here,
Mm-hmm.
but like that little glider piece glides so well over. So what would your like glider piece be? Or would you do like a pendulum over the letters, or like what would you?
Yeah. I mean, if you have a little glass piece, like some people can make planchettes out of plastic, out of wood, anything that will move. Planchette, yes.
Okay.
That's what they call a little piece. There are many people that use the pendulum with the letters and use it very well. I've got one lady that she's absolutely amazing, and she can make that pendulum just go like mad. She gets beautiful messages from family, from Eric, and she's really worked at it. And that's how she's got, now she has a talking board, but she started out doing it like drawing paper and just using it in that way. So here's the thing. If you feel fear, or if you feel like something's going to come through on a Ouija board and you are not comfortable using it, then don't use it. Don't use it till you're comfortable. Is there spirits or trickster spirits that would come through and pretend that they are someone else? Yes, there is. Is it required to use protection or to have some sort of drawing white light around yourself? I would recommend it unless you're very comfortable and confident in your spiritual practices. It's a lot easier, in my mind, in my opinion, to just go ahead and use the protection. So things that you can do as far as protection, drawing white light around yourself, making a very clear statement of only allowing through, say you're wanting to connect with Archangel Michael through the board. I would only like the Archangel Michael of the highest vibration to come through and speak to me at this time and no one else.
So that's really interesting that you said Archangel Michael of the highest vibration. What does that mean? Are there different Archangel Michaels?
Well, there's no, not really, but you're wanting to bring through the highest energy that you can allow through because it's connected to your energy. So you're wanting to bring through the highest version. So I guess that's just with that could kind of get into something else too, because we can connect to different aspects, right? But when maybe a better example would be when we're speaking of a certain spirit, what I'm just getting is saying that is taking out the ability to have an imposter.
The ability to what?
So by saying the highest vibration of that, you are not going to allow an imposter to come through.
Oh, okay.
So another lower vibration that is going to identify themselves as. So by saying I'm connecting with the highest vibration of Archangel Michael, so that would be Archangel Michael. So anything else that wanted to come through and say that it's Archangel Michael is not able to come through.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
So, and that's something that I would always say when I started working with the pendulum. I would always say, the highest vibration of, or only the highest and best of, can come through. Putting white light around you, grounding yourself. The other thing is too, asking if you got a spirit that's identifying themselves. So say you have a spirit that comes through and says his name is Jim, and he's coming through, he has a message or he wants to talk to you. You want to ask Jim if he's from the light. And ask him 3 times, the law of 3. Ask him to identify himself. Are you from the light? Repeat that 3 times. There's a lot of information coming through right now. I'm getting, there's many different ways that you can, protect your energy, that you can ask. But again, the bottom line is, what do you believe in? Because I can tell you all these things, and if this doesn't resonate with you, but there's something else that you do, if you have a prayer, if you have a prayer of protection, if there's something that you prefer to use and that feels better, that's what you want to use. So by giving you any of this information is really just suggestions. And really for the person that is in a place of, I really would like to do this. I really would like to connect. I would love to use the Ouija board, much like the people that I spoke to this week. They had a sense of excitement of wanting to do this, but then this little bit of fear that was coming in. But if you have a real strong fear, then it's probably not the best thing for you to do.
So I kind of am gathering too, it's like using your own spidey senses, right? Like you can feel when there's fear and when you're safe, and you can like I can feel when I call on the angels, like it feels so safe. Like I don't know what the best feeling I could give is, like, cuddling my grandma, or like cuddling my mom in the middle of the night when I was scared. Like it's like that immediate like comfort,
Yes.
That's the way the energy feels when I call in the angels. So if you call in the angels and you don't feel that way, then maybe don't do it. But if you call in your angels or you say your prayer and you feel that way, then that's the green light to keep going.
Yes.
Because
that is so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I feel like if Tom, or whatever you said his name was, comes forward and if Tom is like not from the light, you can kind of feel that, right? Like it's going to
Yes.
change that feeling of safety,
Yes.
whether he says yes or no. It's like you can
That's right.
feel the change. Like, this
That's
makes
right.
me feel like a little unsure. I'm not sure if he's from the light, well, then ask
That's right.
again, or then maybe he's not.
And
So,
think of it this way, when you're communicating, think of it just the same way that you crisscross paths with other human beings every day. There's sensations that you get. You might be standing in line at a store and someone's standing in front of you and you just get this icky feeling. You just get this weird feeling. You don't have all the information as to why you would feel that way, but you just feel that way. The difference is that you're physically seeing, right? So maybe there's some judgment there, maybe there's not, but you're feeling something. So remember, take that to any dowsing that you do. If you feel something, like you just said, if you feel something's off, then it's time to close it down. Don't do it.
sometimes I get like a neutral feeling. What should I do about a neutral feeling? Is that they're good too, right? Because I'm not getting the icky
Well,
feeling when you
yeah,
just not. I'm like
right.
it's a good neutral feeling.
Neutral may be a different energy. It may be a different, I just heard the word species. It may be something different that you've not connected with before or that you don't have a familiar sense to. And so, again, you just want to be thinking about, well, what's my intention in this connection? What am I looking for? Like, why am I doing this? Who have I called out to? You just want to feel that, okay, what's the difference between feeling something unfamiliar to feeling something that doesn't feel good? Because feeling neutral is just, I don't know you. I don't recognize you. Maybe you are not an angelic being. And that's the other thing too. Like if you're wanting to only connect with angelic beings, then make it your angel board. Make it that's the way that you're connecting with angels, angelic energy. So, but if you feel something neutral, you really just want to check in with yourself and what are your beliefs around that? Because chances are you're connecting with an energy that maybe is interdimensional, otherworldly. Because when you're connecting through a board, it's not only spirits, earthbound spirits, say, possibly that will come in and be trickster energy, but you may be connecting with other beings, and not all of them are necessarily a low vibrational or say have poor intention, but they have a different energy. There are some, like, do you notice how fuzzy, I don't know if it's fuzzy on your end, but the energy, as I'm saying this about interdimensional, the screen keeps going in and out, which sometimes happens. When we start connecting in that area, it starts to get real fuzzy and zooms in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's just you're connecting into other locations or different areas of different realities. So if you do not want to connect to that, if you're not comfortable connecting with that, then that's where you make your clear intentions. That's not what you would like to connect with.
Okay.
And make it fun. Make it light. Use your Ouija board and put flowers around it. Like put a bouquet of flowers, a glass of water, have some soft music in the background. Sit in something comfortable. Make it a ritual. Make it something beautiful.
Yeah.
Rather than
That's true. The
something
energy of the environment also needs to reflect the energy that you're going to connect with, because
that's right.
Sitting in the dark is
exactly. You're going to light a candle, sit in the dark. There's a thunderstorm outside. It's almost Halloween. Bats are flying by, and you've already got an underlying fear. That's probably not the time or place or environment that you want to do it in.
Yeah.
Because you're creating, you're manifesting that energy from your subconscious and from your fear.
Yeah.
But it's not scary.
I think too, I think too, like it takes a little bit to develop like a really good, strong psychic protection.
Yeah.
because it does rely on those beliefs. Like for you,
Yeah.
I'm sure you could just not even say anything and open up a Ouija board because you just know your people are there
Yeah.
and you know whenever you
Today,
connect.
yes. But there was a time, no, because a
Yeah.
long time ago, I didn't want to play with a Ouija board. I had a fear of the Ouija board. And I had some underlying fears there that I had to work through. And that's why I pushed a lot of it away, because I had a
Hmm.
strong curiosity and a strong connection to being very curious about the paranormal and studying that. So I had an awareness and a belief of many things that were out there beyond our physical body that maybe weren't of the most positive intent. So I did
Hmm.
have a fear there. So when I started, actually, I do have a board, and it's called the Magical Message Talking Board. And the reason why I bought that specific board is because it's extremely colorful. It's got a glass planchette, and it's got like moon phases and different signs, and it's very lighthearted because I did
Yeah.
connect that belief to the Ouija board to stories that I had heard. So I had to work through that. Today, I would go on it and feel very comfortable, because you're right, because I know what I feel, and I feel very
Yeah.
confident in that, and if I felt uncertain, I would make sure, that I was double checking who it was that I was talking to. It's just like being vulnerable in life and having boundaries with people that we connect with, right? It's knowing where maybe our vulnerabilities are. And again, it goes right down to understanding ourselves and what we believe and where our awareness is.
So let's say you get on the Ouija board and a random person connects with you. How do you close out the connection to make sure that that random person's still like not with you or doesn't like, what do you, how do you end it to like clear everything and tell that person to go?
I just let them know I'm done talking. We're all done. Thank you for talking. Thank you for being here. I'm going to close this off and disconnect, and please go back to where you came from. You're not allowed to stay here. It depends on what the energy is too, right? So if it's a random spirit that you're speaking to, if you feel that you're speaking to somebody that's crossed over, whatever, you just tell them, and we're done. I'm disconnecting our connection. I'm disconnecting. Thank you very much. Just like you would end a telephone call, right? Think of that. Think of the difference when you're talking to somebody on the phone and just hang up. Would you just go, okay, and hang up? Or would you say, all right, I'm going to go now. Thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye. You know,
Okay.
see you later.
In
Like,
my experience, it's funny that in my experience, the good ones are the nice ones, the sweet ones, the light ones. When you say, all right, well, thanks, they're gone.
yes,
But I have had some where you're like, okay, thanks. Like, people come to me and I'll be like,
yeah,
okay, well, I don't want to talk to you right now, but then they're still
yeah,
there.
yeah.
And like, how do you, if you feel like that energy is still there, is there something stronger you can do to like let them get the message, or do they have to leave after like so many times that you say go away? Like personally, I say like you have to go into the light now.
Yeah,
You are no longer
yeah,
allowed in my
yes,
home or around my family. You
yeah,
have to go into the light. And if
yes,
you choose not to go into the light, you have to leave my property
yeah,
and my neighborhood and my city. I
yeah.
say it all.
Well, and that's when you get into, if you're still feeling that you have somebody around, or you've got, like, in that case, that's when you have to be very firm. That's why your confidence level in what you're doing, you want to be very firm to tell them to go. Okay, this is done now. You can call in guides to help. You can
Oh
call
yeah.
in your guides, you can call in angelic beings to help you with it. You can clear your space, cleanse your space. Do what, like, I smudge and use Palo Santo in my space. And I've not had a problem with that. For me, I don't really when I'm done connecting, I've not really felt too much. My daughter has. She notices them. And so we just cleanse and they seem to go, but she's very firm with them and says, all right, go. You're not allowed here. And they do go. They do. Now, if you have one that's hanging around and you've done everything, well, there may be a purpose to that you need to work through, because
Like my
everything has,
eye twitch lady.
yeah,
There was a
yeah,
purpose. Although I guess I never
yes,
specifically was like, you have to go, but she hung
yeah,
around for a while.
yeah. There's always
Yeah.
something there, and that's when you have to go a little deeper and explore. And if it's something that you're having difficulty figuring out, that's why there's so many of us that do this work, that have had different experiences, and find somebody that you trust that you can go to
Mm-hmm.
and help work through it, figure out what's going on.
Yeah. I see why, people are like, oh, it's a sin or it's dangerous to use it. And I see why, like, the Bible or religion say that, because really, when you connect to the other side, the ethers, like, there's a ton of stuff on the other side, more
Yeah,
than I can even imagine. And I feel like I've gotten a very big
yeah,
education very
yeah,
quickly,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and I'm still like running into things that I've never seen or thought of
yeah,
that could ever
yeah,
exist before.
yeah,
And so I see why they put that warning label on it, but it's just like a parent would say, like, you know, you can't go out after dark, or you're not allowed to use a knife, or you're not allowed to
yeah,
play with fire. And it's
yeah,
like, there's a reason why, because it's dangerous. And if you don't have all the tools and all the knowledge,
yeah,
then yeah, you could end up talking to somebody that doesn't have the best intentions for you.
yeah, yeah,
But when you use the protection and you are responsible and you're
yeah,
making sure you're in good energy and you're not drinking and you're
yeah,
not in a place of fear, which is hard to overcome now that they've put that in our heads.
yeah,
But when you come from a place of love,
yeah,
then it can be a very positive and,
mhm,
I mean, it's kind of even like a doctor, right? Like, we say, like, don't stab people, don't cut into people, and doctors are there like cutting into people and sewing us back
yes,
up and whatnot.
yes,
Like, it's something you would
yes,
not think of doing, but it's very helpful for us. So
exactly.
you just
Yeah,
have to be responsible and follow the
yeah,
directions.
that's right.
So
That's right. That's right. And, the best thing that you can do, Eric always taught me awareness over fear.
mhm.
So get the information, study the information, have healthy awareness to the best you can around things to make your decisions from there. Don't stand in the fear of it. Take your power back. Have awareness around it.
And one thing that like really changed my mind too was kind of like whenever you put a crack of light into the dark, then it's no longer dark. Like, I feel like I try to have more of a my light will overcome your dark, or my
Yes.
light is bigger than your dark, or my
Yeah.
light's more powerful than your dark kind
Yeah.
of mentality. And I think that that's really been helpful.
It is, because just like our last video that we talked with the Hermetic principles, the law of polarity, right? With polarity, there is always, where there is darkness, there is light. And
Hmm.
where there's light, there is darkness. So we, as beings that have the power of free will, can choose. So, like, there's going to be truth that is true on opposite ends. There's going to be more than one truth to any given situation. We have the power to choose what truth we decide to walk with. And in that choosing, if our belief system, our subconscious, is in a place where that is not where you want it to be, that's the working through. You got to have patience to work through those beliefs so that you feel solid. And sometimes we need experiences that aren't always ones that we would like to go through, but then when we look back, we can understand how important those experiences were, so that we are firm in our beliefs. So when we choose that light, we know that there's power in it, and it is extremely powerful. but it's powerful when we can be very aware and responsible and balanced with it, and it can do magical, amazing things. Absolutely.
Yeah. I have kind of like a little follow-up story. It's kind of about this. The other, like, we've kind of missed a week. So like last week or so, I was like sleeping and I woke up in the middle of the night to like kind of a scary looking person. Like I think they were murdered. They had like blood coming out of their mouth and they had duct tape around their neck. And it was like a really scary sight, you know? But I like immediately just like threw this blanket, like a golden blanket of light over them and wrapped them up and was like, you have to go to the light. Oh my, like I had like, it's funny because it was a few days after my son had his accident and it was like, oh my gosh, I feel like he's coming to me because like the energy was so similar where it was like, there's this like urgency and this grotesqueness, but this like urgency to like care for this person and help heal this person, you know what I mean? And so I like immediately went to the light, and then later that night I woke up again and he was there and he was like in this white shirt and he was over water and he was saying thank you, and it was like so beautiful. But it's like again where like if you would be in a place of fear, that would be a very terrifying image. But in place of like light, you know, it's like, oh, let me take my light and help you. And again, I'm sure that I felt some energy where it like didn't feel like he was like, you know, trying to scare me or anything. But
Right.
yeah.
You were seeing him in the state he was presenting, that he needed help. He was letting you know what had happened to him and that he needed help, and you were able to provide that for him.
Yeah. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's amazing because perception and really being in tune with ourselves it's a real benefit as we work through this, because we're able to see that there is always something good. There's always something good and something that may present as dark and scary. And that's why our assumptions, we don't want to ever assume or
Like,
judge, as you see in the word.
Yeah, a huge white flash. Like, I'm pretty sure he's here.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So very cool. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. I'm not quite sure if I'm ready yet to have one, but I do like the friendly one. That sounds really beautiful. So
that was good. That was a nice little. Why do I keep saying I've said the weirdest words? Like I'm like tripping up on my words. I just said that's very lice. That's lice. That's lice. No, I don't have lice. Yeah, that's lice. No, that was good. That was awesome. Well, have a wonderful week.
Yes, everyone have a wonderful week. We will see you next week. And I don't know, tell us your stories, I guess. Tell us, you know, how it goes for you.
That's right. All right. Happy week, everybody. Enjoy.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.